G'day folks, just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on the Mercedes. Just working out roadworthy stuff at the moment. I've got my new brake lines on. Protex remade, or basically duplicated the lines that I sent them, which was very good. So they're all done, and I've bled the rear system with about half a litre of fresh fluid, and everything's good. So ready to go back together again. The hubs are cleaned. Bit of never sees on the centre because these are hub centric wheels, and they were well and truly stuck last time I took them off. Oh, sorry, not last time, but when I first took them off they were frozen on there and took quite some beating. So a little bit of copper never sees goes a long way. Likewise with the bolts. So that's all going to go back together again. Everything in the back's ready to go to my friend, who's going to have a spring compressor and everything to take all this apart. They're a special tapered spring for space reasons. I think they're 75 newtons down to 150 newton per centimetre or per inch. But yeah, new lines in, bled, ready to go. Just got to put our wheels back on and should be good to go. Most of the stuff's made by ZF. The new shocks are made by Sachs, which is a part of ZF Group. Rear diff and all the drivetrains ZF transmission. The American-made stuff is the body and the shell, the wiring, all that sort of stuff. USA and Mexico make the rest of it. The body trim panels and things were made by certain US companies. I had it all apart. I had to redo the passenger door lock. The last SD card I used corrupted and I lost all of the footage, but I basically took all this apart, trim off, mechanism out. I had to drill out the pop rivets holding the power window vertical rail in and get this mechanism out and actually tweak the bent actuator pawl. The tab on the pawl was worn and slightly bent out of shape and it wasn't releasing in at the right time. But now it releases every time, which is good, because it'd release like this with the door open, but as soon as I close it, put a little bit of load on that pole, wouldn't do anything. So I had to pull everything apart, but I lost all of that footage and a lot more. Also fixed this plastic compartment. It's all ABS. It's made by some kind of instrument company in the States, or some kind of electrical manufacturer, obviously injection molding plant. So yeah, she's doing really well. Looks very tidy now. Bit more of a clean. I want to fix that crack sound. I think it's the little roller detent mechanism. My BMW did that after the wind caught one of the doors and flung it open hard. It actually snapped a sort of a leaf torsion type spring with a roller on it, and the spring itself, the snapped end, was dragging along this arm and giving it that crack sound. Sounds like this one's also broken, so I might take the trim off again later once the roadworthy's done, and have a go at fixing it. Apart from that, she's good to go. I've got a few new parts. Don't go too high because you take out the lights. Those struts are way overcharged for what I'm doing with this. Yeah, new shocks. There are new engine mounts, which were like 25 bucks each. OEM, new old stock OEM Mercedes-Benz ones. They were cheap, so I grabbed them anyway. She does vibrate a bit, particularly in low range. So I know that the engine mounts, possibly also the transmission mount and tail shaft mount, are also a bit tired, so I'll do them gradually. They're not a roadworthy thing, but there are tie rod ends and rack ends in there to go in. Pretty good. This tailgate needs more new struts because these ones are just too strong. They're at 750 newtons each. I can understand a female driver probably wouldn't have the upper body strength to pull this down once it's open. The lady who it was bought for, whom I met when I bought it, there's no way she could have closed the hatch after opening it. The struts are just way too strong. I'd be willing to bet they didn't have this car very long at all, and it obviously may have already had the Black Death injector leak going on, or developed it shortly after that, and the fact that the rear dicky seats, the 6th and 7th seats, weren't locking properly, and the rear hatch was just, it's difficult for me to close it, much less anyone else. So yeah, it probably wouldn't have worked out very well from the beginning. But like the young guy that I bought the spare wheels off today, I bought this for bugger all, and I'm just fixing it up, doing it properly. He's doing the same thing. He's got a ML320. Took these off, put 90s sedan wheels and tyres on. So I got those two off him for 40 each. He quickly worked out who I was when we started talking about YouTube videos, and I mentioned a certain runaway washing machine. So I hope he's watching and learned something from my videos. I've done quite a few on this car, so there's always some fascinating stuff around, and seemed like a really nice guy, so hope he's hanging around and subscribed. Yeah, we could certainly help each other out in the future with information and parts, whatever. Yeah, that was a good drive. I was driving up to just past Burwood, up in the hills. Nice little area, it looked really good. I'd hate to live up there though, because God, no grinding or welding outside during summertime would be a massive fire danger. Beautiful property, you could just see straight across the valley. But yeah, he was saying 6 months ago, fire alert came up and they just had to evacuate. It didn't get close, but still close enough. But yeah, I like that part of Melbourne, I really do. I know some of my subscribers live up there in the Yarra Valley, that sort of area. Beautiful area, but I couldn't live there. But yeah, he's got an ML320 that he's done like all the ball joints and everything on. The tyres, as you probably saw, are worn on the inside edge. It's very characteristic of these cars. They do eat lower ball joints, but it's not incredibly expensive to fix. They're about $30 each, and you just got to get a shop to do the labour. Or if you've got a press or a decent separator tool, you can do it yourself, but it's still a whole hub and axle out assembly job. Pretty serious. So anyway, that's a bit of an update for now. Let's get the wheels on and do some road testing again. Yeah, see, that's characteristics of a worn ball joint, possibly also low pressure. Same there, worn on the inside. As soon as I saw him, I knew exactly what had happened, and he's gone through all that sort of stuff. I mean, he bought the car for pennies basically, and yeah, you can fix him up into a nice little rig. I mean, I paid, including rego, or excluding registration, I paid about $2,900 for this car. Bit more because it's a diesel. He paid about $1,000 less for his because it's a petrol one, a 3.2 litre V6. And yeah, can't go wrong. It's 2 tons of awesome luxury car. I mean, they were Mercedes cheaper made vehicle. They were just breaking into the US SUV market, and went a bit on the cheap with the plant, and was a brand new plant, brand new platform and brand new manufacturing crew. So it didn't work out the best, but still, for the money, I ain't going to complain. And I ain't going to mind if I spend a bit of money getting it up to scratch, because she's actually a really nice car to drive. Even with the worn rack ends and tie rod ends, still steers perfectly well. There's every now and then you'll hit a bump and have to correct it because you can just feel the front wheels moving. So definitely there, but hey, parts are cheap. The rod ends were like $40 each. The rack ends were about $45-50 each. The ball joints are $30 each. The hardest part's just fitting it and getting alignment done. So it's really no more expensive than working on any other car. The only diabolically expensive bits on this are probably the more important stuff, like computers, which don't often fail. Obviously airbags. And what else is injectors. The common rail injectors on these engines, the 2.7 CDI and the other Mercedes common rail diesels, are very expensive. And these also run a water-cooled alternator, which runs about $1,500 on eBay. But I can get a core rebuild kit for about $150, so I'm more than capable of rebuilding a small alternator. I'm not going to pay $1,500 for a generic import water-cooled alternator. Anyway, let's put the wheels back on. Alright, she's working well. And I've also done a little bit of modification. This is the vacuum driver transducer for the EGR system. It's completely removed and she's not running in limp mode. Why? Because of 2 resistors and a diode. Basic EGR bypass on Mercedes common rail diesels. Thank you to Mercedes World forums and things like that. It wasn't that hard. It's a 1K resistor, a 470 ohm resistor and a fast switching rectifier diode. She's working happy. That's red's 12 volts. That one there is the original EGR transducer wire, and the yellow one is actually going to, no sorry, the where is it? No, that one there goes down to there. That's the MAF meter. MAF meter pin 5 going to there. Plus 12 volts and transducer. It thinks it's there, but it's not. That's what you need. Because if you block this off manually or disconnect the vacuum line, it'll go into limp mode and won't work again. But she's already idling perfectly fine, better than ever. So yeah, that's MAF meter, transducer, positive 12 volts, transducer signal, and yeah, that's where that connector goes. So that connector is completely disconnected. Excellent. Yeah, she idles better than ever before. So much better. A lot quieter, a lot more consistent. There, EGR delete, particularly on high mile common rail Mercedes diesels, is a really good thing. It's yeah, even from new it's not a good idea, but deleting it just does a world of good. Considering I've removed, I didn't do a video, but the intake EGR valve was restricted down to about that when it's supposed to be that, and it was all due to the carbon build-up. I took it all out and the thing was just, there was bugger all airflow through it. So I've cleaned all that up. I haven't taken the inlet off yet, but I will eventually. And deleting the EGR is just doing so much good. So next up's a road test tomorrow, but I'll do a separate video on that one. So yeah, thanks for watching. She's a lot happier now. I like the way it's got truck fuses. That's a fuse.